And let's go. Welcome everyone to another edition of Crypto World Radio. My name is Wabi. Welcome to our weekly weekend Bera Spaces, where we feature a plethora of BERACHAIN builders, community enthusiasts, and all things BERACHAIN related. And so today we have Baby Bear Finance. We have one of the co-founders of Baramonium. We also have Honeypot Finance, which is one of the first DEXs that are going to be released on BERACHAIN. And we also have Ethan Rife, who's developing something in collaboration with BERACHAIN. And we also have Beraland as our co-host for today's BERASPACES. So if you guys from the BERACHAIN community are new to these spaces and want to get some more bears in here, feel free to retweet the space so we can get more people in. And if anytime you want to come up, ask some questions, give some statements to anybody here on the panel, feel free to do so, man. So I want to thank you all once more for joining us. And yeah, we'll get started. We'll get started now. We'll start off with Beraland. How are you guys doing today, man? Good to have you up here once more, brother.
Hey, man, thanks for having us here. Excited for another one of these. Got some really cool guests today, a lot of whom we've been involved with and are excited to have in our community. So, yeah, thanks for having us, man.
No problem, man. And we're also joined by Grit Cult. It's one of our special guest speakers for today's show. Grit, how are you doing today, my brother?
Hey, what's up? Yeah, I'm doing good, man. Been a crazy week, crazy day even, and it's almost like 9:30 here. So, yeah, just hoping to kind of wrap up my day with this talk and just kind of see where things go. Looking forward to it.
Awesome, man. Awesome. We actually have a few projects up here that you might be interested in. We have one of the co-founders of Baramonium. Bam, how are you doing, my man? How are you feeling, bro?
Hi, very good, thank you. I assume most of you will know me as Rafaelos, probably, because that's mostly in the Discord and on the project side and everywhere. It's always Rafaelos, but yeah. So very happy to be here with you all, and very happy to be here with some really cool projects, and I hope brand names can join us too.
Yeah, I mean it's all good, man. These spaces are done in short notice. I like to kind of take a full day to speak to a specific project and all that stuff. Get on a call with them, what have you. But Baby Bear, how are you guys doing? Thank you for joining us.
No problem, man. Thanks for having us. Doing really well. Actually, just got in from a couple mile hike through the woods with my dog. So taking a little pause from our touch grass weekends to come out here and chill with y'all in the spaces.
Well, thanks, man. I'm not exactly hiking, but I will be going to the beach shortly after the space and enjoying the nice weather. Hardly any clouds. It's pretty nice and windy. You wouldn't really think that you're in South Florida, where typically, it's quite humid. People assume that, I'm going to move to South Florida where it's nice and breezy and there's always good weather. But in actuality, it's a swamp, right? So, us here at BERACHAIN, we're going to try to clear the swamp with our bears. But anyways, Ethan, thank you for joining us, bro. How are you feeling, brother?
I'm super good. I'm super excited to be here and to speak with you guys. Thanks so much for having me on.
No problem, man. No problem. Glad to have you up here. And Honeypot Finance, welcome, bro. welcome. This is quite a surprise. I didn't really think you guys would show up here, man. But I was thinking about reaching out to you. So this is quite an experience, man. How are you guys doing? How are you guys feeling, man? Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for coming up.
Yeah, man. No worries. We're happy baseball's back on over here, and we're happy to talk some BERACHAIN on a Saturday.
That's what's up, bro. That's what's up. That's what we're going to try to do here every Saturday or every other Saturday. And Zero, what's going on, bro? Thank you for coming up again, brother. We're always active in the Discord. Love interacting with you guys. Is it just me, guys, or is Zero's mic not working?
Nah, I can't hear him.
Yeah. I think Zero, you might have to exit the space closed your Twitter app, all that stuff, and
Hi, you can hear
oh
me
yeah,
now?
you're good. You're good. You're good, brother.
Okay, it was my
Yeah,
mic.
yeah.
Oh, I'm really glad to be here with you guys and Ooga
Booga
Booga.
booga. That's right, bro. Thune, bro. Thune. Actually, some pretty cool developments, man. Of course, as you guys up here on the panel know, there's this new little side project called BERACHAIN, and it's sort of this BERACHAIN anime that my assumption from what I'm looking at, it's sort of like giving a background, like a lore, to what BERACHAIN is, and I think with BERACHAIN, combining NFTs and DeFi and all that stuff, adding the fun aspect element to it, I think it'll be a pretty nice build up leading up to mainnet, and that's something that a lot of projects lack. Um, Anyone on the panel, if you guys want to give any thoughts on that, feel free to do so. Hopefully, I'm not the only one that sees the enthusiasm behind an animation. For those of you who know me, you guys know that I'm a huge fan of all things anime, and I actually have some ideas for the show. So hopefully, me and that team can put some good work together.
Yo, let us know if you need any music for that.
Dude.
We'd be down. I saw a couple of their videos, man. They are fire. I love them.
Yeah.
I love them.
Oh yeah, man. If you guys have seen Afro Samurai, Afro's best friend, right? The guy with like the bear head and all that stuff. I think it would be pretty interesting, like if they have a Smokey character and all that stuff, he can have like a counterpart to him, like Ninja, and it can just be like this insane Japanese only speaking like super bear that's just over the top. You know what I mean? I think it can add a good hype element to it. But yeah, see, we're joined by Payne. Payne, welcome, brother. How you feeling, man? Finally got you up here.
What's going on, brother? How you doing?
Doing good, man. Doing good. So yeah, I guess we can formally get started now. So the way I want this spaces to go, we can just go from project to project, and then discuss what it is you guys are building, why you decided to build on BERACHAIN, and then we just open it up to more general NFT and DeFi related things, and of course some GameFi elements. That's where Baramonium comes into the play. So we have the NFT fi and like the GameFi stuff with Baramonium, and we have more of the DeFi centric protocols with Honeypot and Baby Bera, and along with our special guest speakers. And then we also have Ethan with the Kingdomly app, and we'll move on to him after we start our general discussion. And so we'll get started now. We'll start off with Bim. Bim, what's going on, bro? Can you tell us a little bit about what Baramonium is all about, what you guys are building, and what was it about BERACHAIN that excited you to build on top of the platform? I know you guys are partnered up with our good friends of the show, Barra Markets NFT, who unfortunately aren't able to join us. But outside of the fact, anyone that they recommend already has clear skies in my view. So go on ahead, brothers. The stage is all yours.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting us here. It's amazing to be here with all the other Beras. Maybe I'll do a quick rundown of what we're building. So we're creating a single-player RPG/roguelike game. You control a party of 4 Baramonium bears, and then you go into procedurally generated dungeons. It means that every time you enter the same dungeon, it has different layout, different enemies. But bosses stay the same. So once you defeat the final boss, the entire dungeon levels up. So it means you can run it again, but you have higher difficulty, and you get better loot. And the most important part here is that all of the loot in the game can be minted as the NFTs. It doesn't have to be, but it can be. So if you find some really cool stuff, like some legendary items, high-level items, or some items with really great stats, you can mint them and you can sell them on the in-game auction house. Or if you want to speed up your progression, you can buy items from the auction house, of course. And that's why we're partnered with the Bear Market and NFT. So we want to build that in-game auction house together, So it's yeah, I hope it will be really like we want to have sort of experience like World of Warcraft or Diablo auction house, but just done in crypto, So yeah, as for the BERACHAIN, why BERACHAIN? First of all, we're pretty deep in the BERACHAIN community. I mean, pretty long time, maybe that's a better word, I guess. So I personally bought this weird NFT of Bonk smoking Burr over a year ago. It was very shortly after the mint. And it just amazed me that Smokey came up with the entire blockchain idea. Pulled these out of his ass, by the way, randomly. It was just the NFTs in the beginning. And then suddenly it's like the whole chain. But from my perspective, once I started learning more about the team, they're super serious people and super intelligent people, at least in my perspective. So we obviously wanted to become this like important part of this ecosystem, because we believe that it does solve the real problems and it has a chance to be super successful. So we would like to be a game that basically the, let's say, GameFi ecosystem on BERACHAIN can grow around, right? So we want to be the first ones in, build something really cool, showcase the BERACHAIN, use the tech, and hopefully have more games come in.
So are you guys going to be more of like a game marketplace featuring a variety of games? Maybe like, I know Engine has a marketplace on Ethereum. Are you guys going to be more like that, or maybe something like DeFi Kingdoms, where there's like a little mini game and you interact with a few things, and there's like quests that you can go to? Am I
Yeah,
right?
so in our take on BERACHAIN, we want our game to be larger than just mini games. We want to have a real game, like immersive experience. But the way we're currently looking at it is to partner up with different protocols on BERACHAIN that want to have this GameFi element, and then we want to sort of integrate it into our game first. So you maybe have quests related to specific protocol. Maybe you have some specific even in-game items. You have specific missions. So the first step would be to really partner up with people and open their protocols up to this gamified experience. This is what we want to do first. But of course, like in the long term, it would be amazing to help others, help other gaming projects as well. We're just not sure in what form we would be doing that yet.
So is the loot randomly generated, or is it?
Yes. Then there, like all of the loot is randomly generated, and then stats on it are randomly rolled, right? So you can get a legendary staff with amazing stats, or you can get a legendary staff but with a little bit less amazing stats. So we're very curious how the player economy will evolve around that.
Sweet, and yeah, you don't have to. You only have to mint the loot that you want.
Yeah. That's the idea. Because
Nice. Is there like a supply cap on the items in the game, or that you can mint, or?
Well, since it's randomly generated, then these items should be unique, right? I mean, we'll
Yeah,
see
sure.
how it plays out, but we didn't want to initially cap them, but we do have permadeath. So every time you die, your entire loot is at risk, unless you have some items or Genesis NFT. You can basically, if you're unlucky, lose your entire loot and equipment. So that sort of could work as a the way we see it is like a burn mechanism for the for the items, right? But it happens in game.
No, that makes sense. That sounds super cool.
Thank you.
Great. If there's anything that you want to add, given that what you're building over at Sukuri has a lot to do with NFTs and does have a chance to be integrated with some companies involving things like the metaverse and GameFi and things like that. Would love to know any statements or any questions that you have for Ben from the Baramonium team.
Yeah, I have a quick question.
Oh, I was asking. Grit, are you able to hear us?
Yeah, I am now. I kind of paused there for a sec.
But Ethan, you had a question too, right? I'm happy to take any questions.
Yeah, go ahead, brother.
Yeah, I'd totally love to learn a little bit more about like kind of how it'll be functioning. I was really into and am still really into GameFi since Axie Infinity. I ran a little bit of a scholarship guild there. Are you guys interested, or have you thought about like what having scholarship programs or like releasing tokens based on like in-game achievements? I know you talked a little bit about like NFTs that you can get from certain in-game interactions, but is there going to be like a governance token like AXS, and then kind of like a utility token for the game, similar to SLP, or how will the in-game economy function?
So there is definitely not going to be an in-game token, right? Because we don't want. So our like initial entire idea was around the fact that a lot of very good projects, at least projects that looked good initially, failed because they tied the economy to the token entirely. So once the token went up in value, the game had hype, it was very cool, everything is good, but then suddenly hype dies down, token drops in value, and then the game is completely dead because there is no more community left. Because the game itself isn't so fun, and then the token was like the primary reason to play. So we're definitely not doing that, right? As for the ecosystem token, we do not talk about it right now because we're extremely focused on delivering the game. But there are arguments that could be made around actual use cases for the ecosystem token, right? So it's not something that we're completely ruling out, but we just want to make sure that we do not ruin the gameplay and the game experience by having in-game tokens. So we're not doing that.
Totally understand. Sounds to me like you kind of subscribe to the general shift in the market in GameFi since post Axie crash. I've seen a lot of people that are popular in the space, such as like Bryson, talk about how we should focus on gameplay first and tokenomics and stuff like that later. So I love to hear that. I have a quick question then regarding gameplay and then the tokens that you are employing in the game so far, just at least that you have them designed. Are the NFTs going to mainly be cosmetic, or what kind of utility will they provide?
Well, so our Genesis NFT collection that's live right now, the way we built it is each Genesis NFT is a bear that has armor and weapons, right? So each trait, there's trait like helmet, chest, gauntlets, boots and pants and weapon. And each of these traits will be directly translated into the game. So we will be able to get the loot that you have on your NFTs in the game. But also, we're going to be releasing, I don't know if I can say that. But we're okay. Let's be as generic as possible. We're thinking about a system where we reward player holders with some cosmetic items and some unique items in the game for being our holders. So yeah, does that answer your question?
Yeah, that really does. That's super cool. I like where it's going so far. I apologize. I probably should have been more well read on your project before, but I'm generally kind of new to this space, at least like the Bera space. I'm mostly here because my co-founder has been a bear holder for a while. He mentions how he was involved really early on the project, and so really appreciate you taking the time to share that stuff. I do have one last question for you, if that's all right.
Of course. Thank you for these questions. I love talking about our project. So
I totally love hearing about this stuff. It's like this is my passion, and getting to hear you guys and all that you're doing and building is really awesome. I have one last question. It's like it's pretty specific, but like, have you thought about allowing for other types of ownership besides just kind of owning or not owning an NFT in your game, such as renting and opening up that utility for holders of really rare items or interesting like pieces?
Oh no, of course. We were talking about this system designs for that. Uh, it's it's something that we definitely consider, but it's something that will not be like super early, like in the early stages of the development, because it's quite, at least from our perspective, it's quite a challenge to build the system right for it to make sense. So it's something that we are considering, but we first will definitely ship the game without it. Probably at least that's the way our internal roadmap is looking right now. But it's something that we do have in mind, and that's something that we want to implement eventually.
It totally makes sense. Yeah, it is that. I'm wondering, is it more difficult from a technical or an economic standpoint that really kind of stops you from wanting to drop it with the first version? And,
Yeah, I think
yeah,
it's more of an like economic slash incentive how to build out the design for it well, because the technical part, well, you can today you can implement pretty much anything almost, right? So it's not that. I mean, technically it's not non-trivial, but from like we want the systems that we have in the game and around the game to make sense, right? To make sense for the players and not feel forced. So if we're not sure about the design for this, if it's at the point where it's making like 100% sense to us, we just keep working on it until it does. So yeah, I would say the economic part is more difficult.
yeah, no, that's what I thought. That's awesome. I really appreciate all that information. And if you'd like to connect with me, like after this call, one thing Kingdomly did, a reason that we exist is we wanted to create a way for any NFT game or experience that builds utility around their NFT to allow for rentals. And so we support pretty much every NFT standard out there that exists, whether it's your collection is 721, 1155. 4907, 721A, anything like that, we totally support, and the integration is relatively simple. We have an inventory API and then a usership API for people who want to integrate that. So even though you said the technical part is not going to be too difficult for you guys, I wanted to mention that because we're here to help games, and even if figuring out how to employ it economically would be like of some use just from a consultative perspective. I have a background in economics and finance and have studied game economies to a point. And so if there's any, if you want another person kind of sharing ideas and some of your calls regarding economic design, totally willing to just give an ear and offer some advice. But yeah, just wanted to share all that.
Amazing, absolutely amazing. Thank you. I've already added you on Twitter, so we can connect via DMs, and I would be super happy to talk about it. And also, thank you for showing so much interest in the project. It's always warms my heart up. So thank you.
Yeah, this is a super collaborative environment.
That's what it's all about, man.
Are you saying that this space has helped you guys with connections and things like that, bro? Geez, who would have thought? Who would have thought that uniting a bunch of projects together would create some collaboration,
networking opportunities,
right?
Yeah, who would have thought that?
Yeah, usually for things like these, you'd have to pay like $5,000 to go to a conference where you only have like 30 minutes to speak. Well, not even 30 minutes. They let you speak like 2 times, and it's usually like a response to a question, and then you're just sitting there with your mic, pretty awkwardly.
Yeah.
But I enjoy these kind of talks. So Ethan, if you since you took the initiative, to engage so well with Ben in regards to Baramonium, if you want to get into a bit more to how Kingdomly is working in collaboration with BERACHAIN, feel free to go into detail and introduce yourself and all that good stuff, man. Glad to have you here, and it's a pleasure to hear you speak so articulately about all this stuff, man.
Thanks, King Wabi. Really appreciate the time to just kind of speak and share and get to meet all you guys. Yeah, I'll quickly introduce myself. I'm relatively young, but I have a degree in finance and a degree and some background in Solidity development. But I partnered with Zerguchi to start Kingdomly about a year ago or so. I had originally ventured, like I mentioned, into Axie Infinity back in early 2021, kind of when there was only like 10,000 players or so. But I had held off on really getting extremely involved until later when breeding was going up and all these other things. And so that's when I learned a lot about GameFi, and I became more involved as a builder in the crypto space instead of purely a speculator. And that's when I kind of realized that rentals would be a really interesting thing in the space, and that I thought if NFTs need utility, then we need a non-binary approach to ownership, meaning that there was a spectrum of ownership between different participants in any NFT ecosystem. And so, just kind of summing it up over time, over the past year, Zerguchi and I have designed what we think is the absolute best rental system for NFTs. We're about to launch the contracts to mainnet with both rental and buy sell into the same contract, which allows for a single approve function, which allows for somebody to list their NFT for both buy, sell, and rent at the same time, and receive incoming offers for both. And so we wanted to make it as easy as possible for new participants to get into the crypto gaming ecosystem by lowering the barrier to entry, which we think rentals really does that. Instead of, if you want to flex on your buddies and rent like a really cool cosmetic for a game, but you don't want to buy it because maybe it's like $10,000 or like 20 ETH or whatever, then now there's the option to hopefully be able to rent it for a tournament so that you can flex and look cool and not have to spend that full 10K. And it's really good for game developers, we found, because a lot of time there's what I've coined kind of is like this misalignment, or almost like a paradox of opportunity between game developers who create limited quantity NFTs and their early adopters. When you really want those two parties to be aligned, right? Like the people who believe in you and you who are continuing to build and want to grow your game and your ecosystem. And so I'll explain that just really briefly because I don't want to bore you guys if this isn't your cup of tea. But essentially, like when a game is released and they create a collection of, say, 10,000 original characters, and those are kind of required for entry to the game, then any excess in demand increase, like say 10,000, more than 10,000 players want to play the game, that bids up the prices of these NFTs, which is really good for those who are early and interested and want to support the game. But it's not so good for the game developers who want to expand the reach of the game and reach more people and grow the game. And ultimately, it kind of can cap the experience or create a friction and barrier to entry for new players who want to try out the game. And so it in turn also kind of stops the value from steadily increasing on the collection itself. So somewhat of a misalignment in between the developer who wants to grow the ecosystem and the early NFT owner who wants to make sure that the total amount is capped so that the valuation, the supply is capped so that the demand increases the price of the NFTs, and they can either lend for more or sell the NFT itself and get more for it. Sorry, I said lend. I meant borrow, like against those, like on NFTFi or something like that. But what renting does is it kind of opens up an opportunity for some middle ground where new players can try out these legacy NFTs without having to make the full purchase. And what that allows for the owners is they get to actually promote the ecosystem that they're holding on to some pseudo equity in the form of the NFT, while holding on to that pseudo equity without losing any rights to it. And so we've built a really powerful system around this that's really secure, and we think it's really powerful in adding new features to the renter, giving them the ability to securely sign transactions with the NFT, allowing for in-game interactions with those NFTs that couldn't exist before. And so that's a lot of what we're building. We're building APIs for in-game integrations, and are just finishing what we coined Maker, which allows anybody that's not technical to create an NFT and a generative collection and then deploy it for free to a pre-deployed ERC 1155, or also pay the cost of deployment and have full access and control over their contract with an automated and auto-generated mint page for their collection and automated auto-generated marketplace for secondary peer-to-peer interactions with that collection. So I know that's all a mouthful, but thank you guys for, might I say, bearing with me through this little tirade. And if you guys have any questions, I'm totally open and just love hearing what you guys are doing. So thank you.
Yeah, no problem, man. Good to hear from you. I'm not that experienced when it comes to like that part of the NFT sector, and that's why we have Grit on the panel. Grit, if you have any statements or any questions that you'd like to bring to Ethan or to Ben from Baramonium, please feel free to do so.
Yeah, so super stoked with what you guys are building. I've worked in a metaverse company before, and I've worked with a few gaming companies, and I totally agree with a lot of statements made regarding like previous experiments, regarding like Axie Infinity tokenomics. So yeah, I'm totally on board with like how to like properly think about in-game tokenomics and in-game economy. So I think just having a step forward, long-term view of things, I think is super helpful. And with my project that I'm working on, which in a nutshell, it will basically allow for game passes and subscription models to kind of be in GameFi. And what I'm kind of seeing now is that around the NFT space, it's kind of it's kind of being shaken around a lot. There's a lot of stuff. Everyone's trying to apply the NFT technology once the boom came to a lot of kind of like use cases. But I think where it's sticking and it's gonna stick is GameFi. I'm just seeing like talking to a lot of investors, and they're like they're all pretty bullish on GameFi, and I think a lot of that's just due to it's all software, so you can do a lot more things, and you're not curtailed by regulation. So yeah, I just want to give props out to you, you two guys. In terms of questions, Ethan, I would say like in terms of more the mechanics, what is required from an infrastructure point of view, for you guys to actually take hold, because infrastructure is a huge kind of thing in my kind of book, so what would basically help you or has helped you in terms of infrastructure around NFTs that has essentially got you here or will get you to the next step.
Yeah, that's just such a wonderful question. And I think there's a couple ways I could go with it. So I need to ask a question to clarify really quick. Are you talking about infrastructure that we would really like to see partnered with us that we need, or how games can utilize our infrastructure to employ the rentals themselves?
Yeah, it's a bit more. It's more around architecturing of like different smart contracts and different use cases and utilities of smart contracts, more than anything. And obviously that can include possible partnerships with other Lego pieces on the blockchain, and trying to come up with composable kind of things. So yeah, what are you really as a builder kind of looking for to like kind of push you over the edge?
Yeah, that's a wonderful question, and that's part of why I'm on the call here, is just to partner with as many people who kind of see some value in the utility of rentership. And this has actually been core to our thesis at Kingdomly, is we want to build the most open protocol for this as possible. The reason we really pursued it is because we saw that there was no truly open rental protocol, and how a lot of the other renter protocols that exist out there, and you can check them out if you want, are like Double. Cardinal, I believe, has one on Solana, and then NFT, I think, is one of the original ones as well. Those rental protocols all require some type of business gate, where you have to kind of go through their business development partnership phase and figure out how to get listed on their NFT marketplace and all this other stuff. And so a lot of what we do is make it really accessible at the contract level, so that if you want to implement into this project, you just kind of token gate. You connect to our contract to check for usership change, which is a state variable in our core marketplace contract for your collection, and then token gate by usership instead of purely ownership. We wanted to take a step further, though, in terms of infrastructure, and actually give the same opportunity to those who are building that don't have a deep Solidity experience or knowledge base. And so we created our developer docs that has a Web2 callable, I believe, REST API that provides the information for who's renting what. And so you can add that into your token gate without having to worry about querying the blockchain directly. And so that's the infrastructure that we kind of provide for games as of this moment. We've also created an SDK that allows anybody, any game that kind of wants to escape the OpenSea or other NFT UI and wants to create their own NFT marketplace directly on their site with their own UI. Then we've abstracted away our UI from the contracts and created Web2 calls for. Sorry, my headphones just fell asleep. We've created Web2 calls for all of our economic functions in our contracts. That way, any Web2 developers can easily create an NFT marketplace for their own game on their own website, as opposed to having to rely on an alternative UI. So that's kind of the infrastructure that we provide. But the last thing that I'll touch on is like infrastructure that we'd like. I know there's a couple people out there in the Bera ecosystem that are developing their own NFT standards or things like that, and we totally want to employ them. And help people to see their NFT standard meet mass adoption and stuff such as that. And so we want to employ those onto our NFT generators so that anybody who doesn't have the technical expertise or knowledge can easily view the feature set that the new standards provide and create collections that abide by those feature sets. So we're totally like open. We have like an open mentality when it comes to any type of business development and any type of speaking arrangement or agreement or anything like that. And that totally floods into our ideology concerning the product as well. So if anybody has any ideas for adding additional infrastructure, or they have infrastructure they're building that they want to see added into our marketplace, our NFT generator, we're totally open to that and would love partnerships in any way. We don't see this as like a space where one person wins, so another person loses. We think everyone can win, and we just need to partner our way to success. That's our ideology and infrastructure that we need and we want, and we'd love to provide.
All right, let's go. That's what it's all about, man. Making partnerships, connecting with as many projects as possible, communicating with individuals that add in value. So just for the sake of time, right? Just for the sake of time, so we can introduce everybody into these spaces. I want to take it over to Honeypot Finance. In these BERACHAIN spaces, we've covered mainly things that pertain to the community aspect of things like Bearlands, and also the NFT, GameFi sort of stuff, and some things built on the DeFi layers of BERACHAIN. So I want to pass it over to Honeypot. Honeypot, go on ahead, introduce yourselves. Tell us what you guys are all about. What made you decide to build on BERACHAIN, and anything you guys have down the pipeline, man. Thank you so much for coming up here and talking some shop with us, man. It's good to have you up here, brother.
Yeah, most definitely. So I'm Kylan from Honeypot Finance. Most people will know Refus, but he wasn't able to join the call today. Why BERACHAIN? We're a team mainly from who has worked previously in the Cosmos ecosystem. Ecosystem's been waiting for an EVM chain. The last couple ones that have launched have been complete duds. So we were quite intrigued when BERACHAIN decided to build their layer 1 on Cosmos. So when we found out that the team and our team had a common interest and some synergies, we decided to on BERACHAIN. I guess at the end of last year, Q3, Q4 of last year. When we were looking at what we were going to build on BERACHAIN, we were going through some of the primitives that, of course, every ecosystem needs. And we really wanted to improve on the DEX design, not only front-end design, but also how governance contracts work on some of the layer 1 DEXs. So that's what we've been doing. We've been trying to come up with intuitive, brand new front-end UI UX designs. We've been working with other teams to sort of provide, I guess, the landing page for the BERACHAIN ecosystem overall. We're a team that believes heavily in community. Community is going to take BERACHAIN as far as it will get. And not only BERACHAIN, it'll take Honeypot Finance as far as it's going to get. That's why we've committed to such a large portion of our tokenomics as an airdrop, and why we've also been very inclusive to not only OG BERACHAIN members, but members that have maybe heard about BERACHAIN today or even yesterday. I think a project that has done that well is Honeyjar, which is a new NFT sort of catered to the BERACHAIN ecosystem, which allows.
We love those guys, man. We love F
Yeah,
Dub
they're super
and all
cool.
those boys, bro.
Yeah,
They've
they're
been a part
amazing.
of
I think.
spaces for a minute, man.
Yeah, I think it's like a perfect gateway for anyone looking to join the BERACHAIN ecosystem, and I sort of agree with their approach, where if newcomers want to join and get into the lore of BERACHAIN, they could start off at Honeyjar, and that's sort of what we want to do at Honeypot Finance as well. Not only cater to OG members, but cater to people who are active and want to start their BERACHAIN journey today. Besides that, we're looking to be like the little brother to CrocSwap. So we're going to be a DEX with permissionless pools, where fast and agile teams can deploy liquidity on our DEX and allow their community to trade between tokens.
And are you guys looking to launch immediately after mainnet, or are you guys gonna take a longer approach and like fine tune some things as like the liquidity pools and all that sort of stuff gets settled into Bera?
Yeah, no, we're looking to be on mainnet first date. We've been talking with some bridging partners, making sure that we could have liquidity for some of these bridge assets on day one. Where I don't want to spill too much, but hopefully testnet soon within the next 1 to 2 weeks, and from there just sort of ironing out any problems that occur on the testnet, and then being ready for mainnet launch.
And would you be able to list some of the differences between what your AMM is doing and something like, 'cause on Cosmos, right? It's sort of like the stigma, like what is Cosmos, right? You have things that are built on Tendermint, right? Like you have Binance, you have Thorchain, things like that. But then you have like things like Osmosis and more of the more obscure parts of things built on Cosmos.
Yeah.
So like, are you guys going to be more like, say, for like Ethereum example, right? When you go on like the Ethereum mainnet, you sort of like your two main hubs. It's going to be Uniswap or and something like 1inch, right? Those are like, when I think of ETH mainnet, that's what I think of, right? And when I think of Arbitrum, I think of Camelot and GMX, yeah. And Optimism, you think of something like Quenta and Synthetics and things like that. Are you guys gonna have that synergy with like with something like the Beardex, which might go live on mainnet as well? So it's kind of like a two-part question. I'm sorry if it sounds like really drawn out or everything. I'm just trying to get as much alpha as possible in the short time that we have left.
Yeah, definitely. So with, I guess your first question was like the overall Cosmos ecosystem design. I think a lot of the problems with like some of these standalone layer ones is that they feel a little too isolated. There's a lot of friction between going from a smart contract.
Yeah, it's a lot of like dilution. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, and
there's really no reason to have like, oh, here's another app chain. Oh, and that app chain has a
Its
DEX.
own decks, its own,
Yeah,
yeah.
and
yeah,
like,
like
and then you look at the liquidity pools, and it's like, dude, this is all airdrop money. Like, you're telling me that this thing has a valuation with an FTV of like 80 million, but like with the liquidity pools in total, there's like barely 50 to 100 grand. Like, that tells me that's like, dog, you guys are just exchanging like freebies, airdrop money, or more like with something that's doesn't really have the best reputation is things like governance, right? Where it's like, you'll see all these proposals like, this super gigabrain stuff, super technical that nobody really understands, and then boom, there's 100,000 atom right there given for free for someone's YouTube show, and the token is just down only. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, exactly. There's a lot of friction.
Diversity kills, right? It's good to consolidate and pool your resources, but everybody wants to be the first in line. Like, just make space at the table. It's okay.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's what the benefits of building on a EVM chain is. You're not so isolated. There's less friction. You're not asking too much from the users, and I don't think users really want to use IBC to go from money market to a DEX, then to go to a smart contract chain. So I think that's the benefit BERACHAIN is going to bring to the Cosmos ecosystem, and yeah, we're happy to be a part of it.
And so, another question that I have, do you guys think it's possible? Because again, this is coming from my recent experiences with many of the friendships that I've made through the Arbitrum ecosystem. Do you guys see BERACHAIN becoming more of like an interoperability layer? Like being deployed on something like an Arbitrum, right? Or even potentially, again, this is just like some far out thinking. This could be, years down the line, something like a layer zero EVM, like something like Entangle, right? Or maybe even like a modular stack such as Fuel Network. I know it's a bit more of a technical question. I'm not sure if you'd want to get too deep into the technicals, but would like to hear your thoughts on it. I share quite an enthusiasm for all things BERACHAIN, mostly because it's fun, right? But you also have like the GigaBrain community members and all of those things. And not that I consider myself, a part of that group. I'm definitely not, but I am open to learning and honing my skills in that regard, and that's why I share such an enthusiasm for hosting spaces like these, where it's a collective of many different builders, but sort of building within the same sector of the market, and this market being from what I'm assuming, like a liquidity incentive protocol similar to Thorchain, right? And that's sort of where I see BERACHAIN, right? But it also has that fun aspect, like that meme chain, fun aspect of like Doge and things of that nature, or particularly something like Harmony with what they had with DeFi Kingdoms.
Yeah, definitely. I don't want to say too much or get too far into the weeds on the technical side, but I know BERACHAIN's going about implementing IBC the correct way with the correct people, and IBC opens up a world of possibilities between interoperability between different chains. So yeah, I think BERACHAIN does have the potential to be more interconnected as time goes on between different layer one chains.
Awesome, man. Awesome. If anyone on the panel has any questions for Honeypot, feel free to do so, and we'll bring you right on up. Okay, we have someone that's actually requesting to speak. Z. We'll see. I'm not able to. Hold on. Yeah, if anyone on the panel wants to say something, go free and go right ahead.
Hello?
Hey, what's going
Yo,
on,
what's
brother?
up, Z?
Welcome to the show, man.
Hey guys. I just got in here, but a question I'd ask is will there be a staking feature?
Yeah, for Honeypot Finance, are you referring to that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we are planning on having a staking feature. This will sort of be the gateway into participating in governance on the app. If that answers your question.
Awesome, man. If anyone else in the crowd feels like coming up and giving any statements or questions for the current protocols that we've had featuring BERACHAIN, feel free to do so. And now we'll move on over to Baby Bear. Oh, my bad, Ethan.
Yeah,
Go
I
ahead,
had a
man.
quick
Pardon me.
question really quick about the UI for Honeypot.
Yeah.
You'd mentioned like innovative UI UX, and I actually that really resonated with me, considering like I don't know, I've talked to a lot of non-power Web3 users and just seen kind of some of the frictions and barrier to entry, just purely from a UI UX standpoint. And I was just wondering, like, what are some of your guys' ideologies on the UI UX of other dexes and such, and how are you really differentiating?
Yeah. So I think crypto users, myself included, we don't ask for too much. I think what really is important is that, of course, when you click confirm on the swap, you don't get charged $100 to move between coins, and that the UI actually feels intuitive. I think crypto sort of strayed away from that intuitive side by using words such as connect wallet or the way things are positioned on a DEX, which doesn't really resonate with a lot of people that don't have a familiar background or not familiar with using different crypto protocols. So um, our UX has a lot of different features, which will be visible on testnet. I know Zero's in here. I think he's seen a little bit of our front end, but what we can say is it's not a vanilla copy of any front end you've seen before or any design you've seen before. We really try to make swapping between tokens as easy as possible, seeing your farms as easy as possible, and just trying to improve on some of the jargon and stuff used, terms used to make it easier for people to digest that aren't used to using crypto native apps.
That's awesome. Thanks for sharing.
Awesome, man. Now we'll move on over to Baby Bera. Before we do so, I see we're closing in on the hour here. But yeah, if you're new to these spaces and things like that, and you're enjoying the spaces, I want to give you a little introduction. My name is Wabi. I host these spaces throughout the week. And typically we cover the innovation side of things within the crypto market. We've had a plethora of projects building on Arbitrum, a plethora of projects building on Tendermint, and coming up soon we'll have many products building on layer 3 such as Eigenlayer, Caldera, and much more, and also some ZK or ZK, if however you pronounce it, some zero knowledge proof protocols on our spaces. And I see Derivatives Monkey down in the audience. We'll be having him and also ZK Casino up next week, so look forward to that. But if you're enjoying this kind of content, I want to let you know that you're able to catch a recording of this on our YouTube, which is almost immediately uploaded after these spaces are done. And if you want to support us, feel free to give us a follow here at Because Bitcoin, and turn on bell notifications so that you can be made aware of when these spaces go live. And tomorrow we'll actually be having two spaces on Because Bitcoin Twitter Spaces, where we'll be hosting two projects, one at 2 p.m. Eastern and the other one at 8:30 p.m. Eastern time, both featured on Arbitrum. We love those guys, and we're hugely supportive of all things built on Arbitrum and protocols that seek to bridge on over to Arbitrum. So without further ado, Baby Bera, what's going on, man? Sorry to you know finally come over to you guys after an hour, man. Appreciative of your time and the patience that you've had. So yeah, man, feel free to tell us what you guys are all about, what you're building, why BERACHAIN, and what excites you about this community. As we've seen, we have people from all walks, right? We have people that come from finance and the Web2 world that want to build on this protocol. We have people that come from the Cosmos eco, right? Like the guys from Honeypot, as we've seen. Then we also have people that they want to build some fun stuff, something that's interactive, like the guys from Baramonium. And Bem, I've actually sent an invite to speak on the Baramonium profile, just to have them up here so people can follow them. But straight back to business, Baby Bear, what's going on, brother?
We're good, man. Thanks for having us. So, I mean, everything you just said is like exactly why we want to build on BERACHAIN. It's it's like a perfect fit for what we got going on. We're basically building an ecosystem that is part NFT, part yield farm, part meme coin. Although when we say meme coin, it's a little bit tongue in cheek because there's quite a bit more going on under the hood than just some token that doesn't really do anything. I don't want to get too far into that and give too much away. We're going to be having some more information, some more details released on that shortly. But so basically, we're going to be releasing an NFT that will give holders a boost, a yield boost in the farm. And we're really using a farm as a way to distribute a token to people who are actively engaged in the project, as opposed to a whitelist or airdrops where you just sort of get a token for not doing much. So we just thought a really cool way to distribute a token. And we got all sorts of cool stuff planned for that token. So we basically have paired together a team of a bunch of artists, designers, and musicians to work with our dev squad to just really build something that focuses on art and music, fashion, and just sort of culture in general. And the goal, like a lot of these projects, is to just sort of bring some fun back to crypto. We are, this team has been around the space for quite some time now, and we sort of are old school in the fact that we remember when crypto used to be chill and fun and much less of this kind of zero-sum game of I have to lose so you can win type of vibe. So we're trying to get away from that and just do something more fun and inclusive. And BERACHAIN was like the perfect chain for us. The idea for the project we've had for quite some time, and just really didn't feel like there was a chain that meshed nicely with what we wanted to do. So BERACHAIN being this solid technical project, but also not taking itself so seriously and down to have fun, and just the whole vibe of what they got going on. It fit perfectly for us. So we were looking at a bunch of chains to build this on. This was around the time that gas fees were through the roof on Ethereum, so that was out. And we looked at a bunch of other chains, and like I said, it wasn't the right fit. So the moment we started looking into BERACHAIN, it was like an immediate yes. So that's pretty much what we got going on. Again, it's going to be a focus on like art and music and just design, and just having fun and creating a space where holders can just hang out and have fun again in crypto.
I have a quick question. So, you've mentioned, and like a lot of other people have mentioned that, they're super bullish on, BERACHAIN infrastructure. So my project is pretty early. So, what would be the benefits for my project to come to BERACHAIN, for instance?
I'm not.
Oh, that's what I love to hear, brother.
I'm not entirely sure what the specifics of your particular projects. From our point of view, and again, I'm not the super technical big brain. I'm more focused on like the creative direction, and my background is in music production, specifically for like TV and film placement. So from my point of view, like BERACHAIN was perfect because you got a lot of people that are solid technically, but also there's some culture involved there, and like the meminess of everything just fit perfectly with what we want to do. We've been just like super stoked in our interaction with other projects, and just people in the community that appreciate art and design, and clean design and music, and just the whole cultural aspect of that, which we really feel like is kind of missing in crypto. You don't see so much of that like you used to. Especially, we're going really big on the music end of things. Generative music will be included in our first NFT. which will also give holders a boost, a yield boost in the yield farm. So we're working with a bunch of like artists and musicians, and again, I don't want to give too much away, but we got some really cool things planned with some artists and musicians that I would imagine most of you have heard about. Like, you know, you might have them on your Spotify playlists and stuff like that. So that for us is why, you know, we decided to hop on BERACHAIN. It's just, it was a natural fit for us. And again, I don't know exactly the technical requirements of what you're building are, and I'm definitely not the guy to be asking technical questions to, but for us, like the overall vibe and the culture that is already built in the BERACHAIN is perfect for us.
What would you do differently in terms of the music side of NFTs that SoundMint clearly dropped the ball on? I think they're the first ones through the door, so you know they're gonna get a bloody nose. But they did some things very wrong.
I agree. I mean, we're in as far as music is concerned. I mean, we got a whole generation of people that don't buy music, and you know, we have convinced an entire generation that you can have access to the world's catalog of music, and that's only worth like $10 a month, which to me is crazy. So what we're doing is again focusing on the generative music aspects. So like our first NFT, it's going to give you a boost in the yield farm, but each NFT is going to have a generative song that the holders will own the rights to. And so we're building then like a front end where you can go in and load up that NFT, and then you can download the song in, you know, the full song, the instrumental, and then also all of the stems, like all of the multi-tracks that make up that song. And you own those as well, royalty free. So you can make a remix, you can do whatever you want with those, and own those. You know, you own all the commercial rights to those. So what we're trying to do is just more interactive. Like, we're not asking you to spend an ether on a song. What we're giving you is full commercial rights to music written, you know, by some known names. And then there's that interactive element where, you know, we will be doing like remix competitions. So you buy an NFT, you download all the stems, you can remix it, and then you know, it'll be, you have some sort of competition type thing judged by like, you know, fairly notable musicians. So I think it's like, you know, I think it's kind of a problem of just where we are in the music industry in general and what people expect to get for, you know, next to no cost. I think that's the main.
I like that answer. Things that are worth it are worth paying for, and I think things like free streaming has diluted culture and content. I mean, you can see it just by the quality of the things that are out there, right? Things suck. I think we can easily discount music from the last like decade or two because 99% we're not going to listen to generation or two from now.
I couldn't agree more. So it's a really weird spot for music and, you know, musicians in general, where you're not really paid for your art. Like how we work now is you spend a month or longer, you know, writing and producing and mixing an album, and that album doesn't bring you any sort of revenue. All that album does is hopefully get people to come to your shows and pay you for a ticket to see them perform, or, you know, get them in the door to buy a physical or a t-shirt or whatever. And so what we're trying to do is, you know, we want to kind of bridge that, where if that's all you want to do is stream some music, great, stream some music. But if you want more interaction and engagement with the artist, we want to provide that as well. And so that's just like, you know, one portion of what we're doing. So the whole idea is to, you know, we have this NFT to reach out to that whole chunk of crypto that, you know, may only know the crypto space as JPEGs. So we want to produce something that is interesting to them. And then we also want to have an aspect being the yield farm, which, you know, reaches to the more kind of OG degen farmers. and then we want to turn that into a meme coin, which then, reaches a whole other section of crypto, which is like these, speculative degens to trade that. And then aside from that, again, I don't want to say too much, but we have some really cool shit planned for what that token can do and what that can get you. And, just look at our team being more than half of them being artists and designers and musicians and people in fashion. So we're kind of pulling from that aspect of things to build utility into this token and to kind of just build this cultural hub of BERACHAIN.
Guys, I want to take the time to give a shout out as well to our co-host and also a project on BERACHAIN that I'm a huge fan of. Not necessarily a project, more of like a community-driven DAO where individuals, can find out more about a variety of things built on BERACHAIN. And again, this isn't a sponsored talk or anything. I just want to give a highlight, given that they haven't necessarily spoken since we've begun the space. For the individual that's running the Bearland account, if you want to give an introduction, just a brief introduction on like who you guys are, just as a synopsis. We understand that we've had you on here before, but I feel like it's very pivotal and vital that whenever we do feature new projects on these spaces and we have more of the broader BERACHAIN community on these collaborative BERACHAIN spaces, that it's vital for a hub such as yourselves to be known. So go on right ahead, guys, if you don't mind.
Yeah, thanks, man. Really appreciate you having us on here all the time. So this is Napzilla here from Bearland. We've got Zero in the crowd and the other co-founders, Witcher. We don't really need to speak on these. Like the whole point is to uncover projects and realize what actual teams are building. We're not doing anything technical, nothing crazy. We're just allowing projects to have access to a larger audience and collaborate within Bearland. Like we're very happy to just listen to these guys speak, and every time we hear Baby Bera talk, it's something new that we haven't heard yet, and it's exciting and also cool to have Honey Pot in here, and of course we love our Baramonium friends, and just hearing what everyone's building is what we're here for, and we're glad to just sit here, put our name next to it, and say, hey guys, if you want to hear more about all of these projects, a lot of them live in Bearland. Just in the past week, we've added new sections in the Discord for Bera Market, who couldn't make it today, but gave some great info last week. We also added a section for Ursadum Labs, which is like the native VC funding type folks within the Bera ecosystem. And it's really important to get people like that into our community, because they're looking to fund innovation and cool things that people are building. So to have them now in our Discord with a strong, easy connection to the rest of the community, it just makes a lot of sense. So really happy to be here as always. Really happy to just hear the details about what people are building. And of course, thanks to you, Wabi, and Because Bitcoin for hosting this and giving everyone a chance to really talk about the awesome shit that they're building.
No doubt, man. That's what it's all about, bro. Community engagement and all that stuff. Growing these little sub DAOs. So for everyone in the audience, if you want to join a hub, kind of like a sort of a DAO of sorts, where projects can come together and you're able to discover some BERACHAIN projects early on, feel free to follow our friends over at Bearland. The link to their extended socials is in their bio, and same thing with all of our speakers. Please give a follow to all these individuals that are building on BERACHAIN. We're highly appreciative of their time, and I understand that at the current moment, there's not necessarily a push to go on these spaces, right? So it's really vital to try to make the best use of all of our times up here. So shout out once again to all of you individuals that are here on the speaker panel. And I see we have Shaman up here. brother, I'm glad that I ran into you on the crowd. Wouldn't have ever discovered you, but I see in your bio that you have the bear nouns, or now known as bear names, in your profile. Is it right to assume that you are a part of that particular project on BERACHAIN, sir?
Yeah, dude. And yeah, sorry I jumped in so late, but I also wanted to address what uh hiring was asking about before to a certain extent. I'm not a crazy technical dude, but I think I can give like a couple of the sort of like key benefits. I think a couple of the problems with like Ethereum is that it's you don't have super access to like the multi-chain environment, and then there also isn't like a clear native stable coin, so you end up with this like fractured liquidity sitting in a whole bunch of different stable coins. And then also when you go to use a DEX or a lending product or something like that, it's the same issue of having this like fractured liquidity, or there's like RV compound and all these different products that you trust to a certain extent, but it means that people's capital gets split around. And the more concentrated liquidity is, like if you've got a really deep liquidity pool, it means that you don't lose much on slippage for swaps. So it's like really good to have liquidity as concentrated as possible. And it's the same with lending. Like you get better rates on lending if it's really concentrated. And I think that the way that BERACHAIN has Honey, this like native stablecoin that you need to stake it to have a validator. It means that there's going to be really deep liquidity of this stablecoin, and so it means that if you're building a project on there, you can kind of be confident that if you pair with Honey, that you can be confident there's going to be deep liquidity with your project coin. And it also means that everyone validating transactions, they actually have a stake in maintaining that like deep liquidity in the stablecoin, rather than just a lot of the time with miners, like Bitcoin miners, they just sort of like take Bitcoin and then they sell it, and they don't have a lot of incentive to sort of prop up other aspects of the community because they don't actually reap the benefits of it. Whereas if they have to have like really deep, they have to be providing a lot of Honey as liquidity. It means if people all start dumping, then they're sort of the first buyers, and so they're really strongly incentivized to like help prop up the community. And I think that's like a really high level overview, but hopefully that sort of captures a couple of the benefits. And then yeah, because it's on Cosmos, you get like easy access to the multi-chain thing as well. But then it's EVM, so it's really easy to develop on, and it's much faster than the current like Cosmos EVM chains as well.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. That helps a lot. I've been around. I mean, I've been following Cosmos for like quite a while, and BeraChain kind of came up my radar like quite a while back. But like people were just sending me like huge amounts of text. But I think the way you kind of summarized it really helps in terms of a deep liquidity stablecoin. I think that really does change a lot of the ecosystem aspects. And yeah, I'll definitely be looking more deep into that as as my project goes further into development for sure.
Yeah, and it's worth just reach out to Smokey. The founder's really open to chatting to people about it as well. And then like sort of I'm sure if you chat to Dev, you'll get a much better. And he's pretty, although they're like ridiculously busy. Oh, sorry, I'm yawning. Although they're ridiculously busy, they're normally pretty open, especially if you're like looking at building. Then they love to chat about why it's great. I think Dev's about to speak at DevCon as well, not DevCon, but another conference. So he's probably going to be chatting about a lot of the benefits as well.
Cool, yeah, will do.
Shaman, so go ahead.
No, go. I was just going to start talking about bearer names. I'm guessing that's what you were going to ask about.
Yeah. Right on the money, brother. Right on the money, brother.
Yeah, hectic. So I think to line up with what I was saying before, the new chain's really focused on like how do you reflect value back to holders, because if you're staking this native stablecoin, and if you're staking for validating, then you kind of capture a lot of the growth of the ecosystem, and so you reap a lot of the rewards of the growth of all aspects of the ecosystem. And the idea is that more value is directed back to people sort of propping up the chain than with Ethereum, because on Ethereum, a lot of products like the sort of individual DApp captures a lot more value than is reflected into the chain, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it's sort of a choice. I think with bearer names, the main thing that we wanted to solve is we felt that the ENS names, not a lot of the value so reflected back to the ENS DAO. So there's these ENS names that trade for ridiculous amounts of money, absolutely massive amounts of money, and then people just sort of hoard up thousands and thousands of names in the hopes that they're going to be able to sell them at a really high price later. And none of that value gets really reflected back to Ethereum or reflected back to the ENS DAO, because I don't even think they capture like the secondary market revenue at all. They just pay, so you just pay like $5 a year or something like that, and it creates this system where people just capture like thousands of names and then they hoard them in the hopes that they're going to sell like one or two of them for a couple $100,000. And it sucks for everyday users that want to use those names, because they're just like sitting there idle in these wallets priced up at ridiculous prices, and there's no incentive for the people hoarding them to sell them for a reasonable price, because they want to prop up the value of the rest of their sort of collection in the hopes that they just sell sort of one or two. It just creates this weird environment where a whole bunch of them are sort of held hostage by massive holders. And I think counter to what a lot of people will say in crypto, where they will really shit on the speculators, I think it's important to have speculators around, because they're the ones that, like, you'll see, it's like Bitcoin maxis, like they speculated and then now they become these like permanent shills where they sit there like just talking about it all the time and spreading the word as much as possible, because they want to pump their own bags. And I think that's really important. Like, you want people that buy in and then pump their own bags, and they spread the word, because it's like decentralized marketing. And I think we still want to create an environment where you can trade bearer names and you can hoard them up and sell them, but whether it be through having a higher fee that on trade it goes back to the DAO, or whether, but depending on the pricing demand, we increase the registration fee. So if someone's like priced something up to millions of dollars, then their yearly registration starts going up as well. And the exact mechanism of that we're still working on. But yeah, that's the sort of problem space we're trying to change a little bit. And then similarly to most of the other like bearer projects, there's like a weird combination of serious business but also acting like an idiot and spamming copy pastas.
I love pasta, man. I pasta quite often here on Twitter, to be honest. But I agree with you on decentralized marketing. But it's decentralized marketing that leads to a service like, hey, man, you should buy Bitcoin, but it should be on our platform where we charge you an exuberant amount for fees. Don't buy a ledger. Just send your Bitcoin over to us. You know what I mean? And most of those projects, not projects, I'm sorry, most of those companies, they made their money with what you'd call, you know, speculative assets and all those things. And to kind of boost their engagement with their platform, they spend all their time fighting Binance like complete and total fucking idiots. And I'm sorry to use the language here, but it's something that has to be said, right? Like, I'm a huge enthusiast of Bitcoin, right? I do love the culture of it. I do enjoy the communities, but there are some communities, man, and I can say the same thing about certain certain altcoin cultures that are just absolutely insufferable, where it's something that you don't even want to listen to. You know what I mean? It's like hearing a Lana Del Rey song on repeat. It's just torture, right? It's
I like
first,
Lana Del Rey. I really
yeah.
like Lana Del Rey.
Well,
She's incredible.
So watch your mouth.
but anyways, man. I did post on the Nest for you guys. Our boys over at the Honeycast are going to be hosting a Spaces in about 30 minutes. So feel free to tune into that immediately after these Spaces are concluded. I'm actually pulling up to my favorite seafood bar. I'm going to have some fajitas um, and a few
Oh,
other things.
yum.
Yeah, yeah,
Do they
yeah.
have that? Do they have that? Do they have that like cured kingfish with the lime? It's like the really thin slices of kingfish. You should order that.
They do, and they also have a so, so nice. And they serve some pretty good burgers as well. So it also has a pretty good view, man. Um, yeah,
You got to get
guys,
some calamari.
of
Yeah,
course, man.
calamari goes off too.
Yep.
But yeah, if you guys are enjoying the Spaces and all that stuff, feel free to give us a follow here because Bitcoin, we're close to crossing 7,500 followers. Trying to get to that 10K mark.
Yo.
Yeah, trying to get to that 10K mark. And of course, like I'm trying to produce some quality here. So if you find these Spaces informative and all that stuff, and you've made some connections, we do appreciate you guys participating in the Spaces that me and Feel Pain do. But before we wrap up, I want to give I want to allow some time for Animus Labs, who is working on a product that I'm interested in building on BERACHAIN called BERACHAIN. So, Animus Labs, if you're available, feel free to sort of give a brief introduction about what you guys do. You don't necessarily have to go in too much in depth with baritone, but if you want to give us a brief introduction and all that stuff, feel free to do so, man. And yeah, good to be connecting with you on here, and thank you for taking the time to join us here on our Saturday BERACHAIN Spaces, my brother.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good,
Yeah,
brother.
we
You're
got
good.
you, brother.
Awesome. So I appreciate it. I appreciate the invite. It's been a busy Saturday, but no, it's good to be here. Obviously, being surrounded by a bunch of gentlemen, ladies who are building in BERACHAIN is super exciting. So Animus, what we do is we're a game development studio. We've been helping around the ecosystem for BERACHAIN, helping people develop their games from whether it's ground up or some projects that are already a little further developed. We bring a lot of Unity talent. We bring a lot of art talent for projects that need that as well. We're not just building in BERACHAIN though. We also build on Arbitrum. We have a couple projects on Arbitrum. We're building a couple projects on Polygon. So we're kind of all over the place, helping projects, really get to their end goal of what they want to do with their games. So yeah, that's what we've been doing. We've been at it a little over a year now, and it's been a lot of fun seeing all the projects that have spent so many hours and weeks and months working on finally come into fruition. And yeah, so we really enjoy the project at Baritone. We're starting to work with the guys over at Baramonium. This has been a great adventure with those guys thus far. So yeah, we're looking forward to having a lot more to show the communities of what's being built, and we're looking to continue doing what we're doing. Who knows? Maybe that means building more games. Or does that mean building some of our own games? The future is it's big. We're looking forward to it. So I really do appreciate the opportunity to be up here, though, King. Got my kids in the background. I'm on a little trip, so I appreciate it. I'm going to keep this really short today, but thank you guys. I look forward to speaking with everybody. Maybe in another space, another weekend.
Yeah, no
No
problem,
problem,
brother.
brother. Thanks for
No
coming
problem,
on.
man. Yeah, we'll be hosting these spaces, covering
Every
all
Saturday.
BERACHAIN every Saturday. Um, and yeah, you can look forward to some of the guys here on the panel. To be regular listeners, perhaps. I mean, not listeners, speakers. And yeah, for everyone that wants to connect with these projects, feel free to follow them and also join the Bearland Discord. You'll be able to connect with them more one on one and stuff like that. And yeah, if anyone here on the panel has any last questions or any statements they want to give to one another before we wrap up, now's the time to do so. Just got to the restaurant and it's pretty breezy and all that stuff. So yeah, we'll give.
This guy Walrus in the audience. I'm gonna eat him. That's my final comment. Thank you.
I think that's a good way to wrap up, man. I think that's a good way to wrap up. Yeah, guys, feel free to tune in to the Honeycast. I put their Spaces link up here on the Nest. They're going to give some thoughts on what Dev Bear and Smokey, some of their thoughts on what they did on their presentation and the summit that they attended. Hopefully within the next weeks leading up into the summer, we can have Smokey up here and get some good alpha and stuff like that along with Dev Bear, and really try to spread the fun word about all things Bera. So without further ado, I want to thank all of our speakers for taking the time to join us up here. Shout out to Barrowland, our co-host. Shout out to Grit Cult, Animus, Shaman as well, Feel Pain, Bem from Baramonium, Baby Bera, Kimchi, Ethan, and Z for coming up and asking his question. Shout out to all you guys. Soon after this space, you can catch a replay up on our YouTube, but our producer will be tweeting out that YouTube link a few minutes after this space, so you guys can catch it. We'll tag all of you in it. Feel free to share it and all that stuff. Again, my name's Wabi. I host these spaces throughout the week featuring protocols and all that stuff. Building across the interchain doesn't necessarily have to be just on ETH or Tendermint. Soon we'll be featuring some projects on Layer 0 and even Avalanche, but I'm not going to get too much into detail about that. And me and Payne will be back tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to be featuring a Cosmos project called NoList. They're like an interoperability lending protocol. They come from the Web 2 space, so it's going to be pretty interesting to see how they migrated from a Web 2 business in the lending industry to Web 3 or crypto, if you want to call it that, whatever. And then we're also going to be featuring Arc in Finance, which is a protocol building on Arbitrum. So we'll have two spaces, one for our afternoon audience and one for our evening audience. So feel free to stick around tomorrow for that. And again, you can catch all of our replays prior on the Because Bitcoin YouTube under our Crypto World Radio playlist. Right when you click, of course, the playlist or the live option, and you'll see all of our prior spaces. So thank you again so much. God bless you all. Have a good
Thank you,
rest.
guys.
Thank you all so much.
It was a pleasure. Thank you.
That's right, bro. Alhamdulillah.
Take care,
Alhamdulillah.
everyone.
Alhamdulillah.
Have a blessed Saturday.
Shout out, great gang.
Thanks, boys.
The trading current is just math. It's just math. It has a 95.45% hit rate when we deviate outside of CP2 and CN2. All you had to do is recognize that 95% of the time when we get over here, under this blue line, we get some sort of mean reversion. So let's just assume you long right here. 95 out of 100 times, when I buy this, I'm gonna get some sort of bounce. It's just math. Look what would have happened as we move up. Look at the bounce that came after. And now look where we are. If you had just blindly followed the current, you take all emotions out of it, and you say, I'm going to trust the statisticians, you would have bought Dow Jones somewhere down here under 30,000, depending on how you want to measure it from absolute top to bottom, 20% move. We also have multi-time frame alerts. You don't even have to be at your computer on TradingView. You can ping your phone. Now, the current has some really awesome features, and I would urge you guys to join our Discord to get access to it. We give it away for free as a tool to the community. It's just math. There's really no need to overcomplicate things, not even in the slightest.